Aloha everyone and Happy New Year! I'm Nolan Hong from Pop Creative Media, and I'm so excited to be your host. On behalf of the Japanese Cultural Center of Hawaii, welcome to the 29th annual New Year's Ohana Festival. Now, for nearly 3 decades, the Japanese Cultural Center of Hawaii has hosted the New Year's Ohana Festival to celebrate the New Year and showcase Japanese and local New Year's traditions. Every year, thousands of families visit the JCCH in Mo'iliili for a day of festivities. There would be Shinto traditions, cultural performances and demonstrations, a craft fair, keiki games, and lots of Ono food. Now, 2022 marks the first online multi-day New Year's Ohana Festival, and we're so excited to bring it to you at home. Now, being that I'm born and raised in Hawaii, I was excited when the Japanese Cultural Center of Hawaii invited me to host this year's New Year's Ohana Festival so that I could learn more about the fond memories I have of celebrating New Year's with my friends and family in Hawaii. We have an exciting show ahead of us, but first, I'd like to introduce Nate Gyotoku, JCCH's President and Executive Director, and Donna Kawano, JCCH's Chair of the Board, to share a few words.
Aloha kako, Happy New Year, and welcome to the 2022 New Year's Ohana Festival. While we're very sad to have missed everyone in 2021, we are very pleased to be joined by everyone in this year's online program. We are especially pleased this year to partner with high school programs from Roosevelt and McKinley High Schools to produce this year's content. We will continue to build our online content library going forward, adding to our already popular Okage-sama Days series. We are also excited to welcome everyone back to our center over the course of the year. So please join us for some of our craft fairs that we have coming up. Thank you again for joining us, and we wish you a safe and happy New Year.
Akimashite omedetou gozaimasu. Welcome to the New Year's Ohana Festival, a very special event which brings together the community to celebrate Oshogatsu at the JCCH with many of our cultural traditions through activities, demonstrations, and performances. This year, the program is being presented virtually, and we thank you for joining us on YouTube. NYOF is made possible only through the strong support of our membership and sponsors. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to everyone who came together to create this special program. We wish you all a healthy, happy, and prosperous Year of the Tiger, and look forward to seeing you in person very soon. Mahalo and Happy New Year!
Thanks, Nate and Donna. Now, in addition to the New Year's Ohana Festival virtual show, be sure to check out JCCH's online Things Japanese silent auction, where you can shop all things Japanese, new and old. It's live right now, and the auction will end on January 21st, so head over and place your bids on items you really can't find anywhere else. Something else to look forward to is JCCH's monthly Craft and Collectibles Fair happening on January 15th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This will be in person at the JCCH, and there will be live entertainment and one-of-a-kind vendors. So come on down to support and shop local. In conjunction with all the festivities that day, stop by the JCCH Gift Shop and Gallery for the center's first ever Fukubukuro event. You can shop lucky grab bags with contents worth at least 3 times the bag's retail price. For more information on the silent auction and upcoming craft and collectibles fair, head over to jcch.com/NYOF2022. And in case you didn't notice, I am rocking my Sumo Fish Year of the Tiger shirt. To purchase a shirt just like this, you can visit the JCCH gift shop in person or online at shop.jcch.com. We have an exciting weekend ahead, bringing all the Ohana Festival favorites to families in Hawaii and worldwide. The JCCH thanks all the New Year's Ohana Festival sponsors for their generous support. Mahalo to the CHIKU sponsors: Atlas Insurance Agency, First Hawaiian Bank, First Insurance Company of Hawaii, and Island Insurance Foundation. And mahalo to the buy sponsors. It is the generosity of the Ohana Festival sponsors that helps the JCCH fulfill their mission to be a vibrant resource that strengthens our diverse community through cultural education. Be sure to follow JCCH on social media and hit the subscribe button below. Now, in the Shinto religion, it's customary to begin the new year with a good luck blessing. For years, Reverend Akihiro Okada of Daijingu Temple has performed a New Year blessing to commence the Ohana Festival. Dr. George Tanabe, a retired religion professor, will share more about Reverend Okada's New Year blessing.
Happy New Year, everyone. We are going to begin this new year, which has already started with, most appropriately, with a blessing, which is done in the Shinto tradition. Shinto is the native religion of Japan, as opposed to Buddhism, which is an imported religion, having been born in India and then traveled to China and Korea and then come over into Japan. So Shinto is a nature religion, kind of similar to native Hawaiian religion, in which the entire world, the entire universe is infused with all kinds of deities. In Shinto, they're called kami. Kami can be anything that is awesome, awe-inspiring, or forceful. Could be a force of nature. And so there are kami of the mountains, kami of the ocean, kami of rivers. But kami can also be people. A famous poet, a politician. And today we're going to be seeing a ceremony which calls upon the kami to give blessings for the new year. The ceremony will be conducted by Reverend Okada of the Daijingu Shrine. And it's interesting to note that in the Daijingu Shrine, the kami there are traditional kami from Japan, but also include awesome people from America and Hawaii. And so enshrined as kami in Daijingu is George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, King Kamehameha, and King Kalaukaua. And so you can see the kind of the broad way in which kami are conceived as anything that is awesome and forceful in nature as well as in culture. So let us go into the blessing ceremony and start the new year off on the right foot with this Shinto blessing. So Reverend Okada is dressed in very traditional Shinto ceremonial robes. These robes were styled after the ancient court in Japan, particularly from the Heian period, which is in the 8th, 9th, 10th centuries. And Shinto, being again the native religion of Japan, maintains a lot of the native traditions. Of course, I say native, but as it is with everything in Japan, so much is influenced by China. And so here you see Reverend Okada with a court-styled cap, and he is holding a wooden tablet, which was also a practice in China, but adopted by the Japanese as they adopted so many things from China. We'll see how he uses that tablet. And right now, he is in front of a temporary altar. Now, in Buddhism, you cannot set up a temporary altar any place. You have to go to the temple, and that's where the altar is. But in Shinto, you can set up a temporary altar like they have here at the Japanese Cultural Center of Hawaii. And you can do this because the kami, the deities, are everywhere. Again, Shinto is a religion of nature, and so kami can be found in everything, in trees, in rocks, in mountains, and they can be commemorated in different places. And here the place is very specifically the Japanese Cultural Center of Hawaii. Reverend Okada is now picking up a branch. Traditionally, it was from the sakaki tree, but any kind of green branch can be used. And once again, the greenery is symbolic of nature. It's a natural object. It's not a carving of any kind. and it is attached to the branch are these paper strips. Now, paper in Japanese is called kami, just as is the word for deity. And so the branch and the paper symbolize the presence of the kami, and Reverend Okada waves it in order to clear out impurities and to invite blessings. He is going to be offering a prayer, a very traditional prayer, and you can see him holding the wooden tablet in front of him. Now, back in the old days, in the days of the court of ancient Japan, courtiers would carry these wooden tablets, and they had a symbolic function of showing their rank, their nobility status, but it also had a very practical function. You could write notes on the back of this tablet. And so in meetings, courtiers would write down notes, or if they were given an order by the emperor, they would write it down. But they could also use it as a kind of a notepad. And so they could write notes that they would use if they were giving a speech. Here, Reverend Okada is reading a prepared blessing, and it is very specific. It is dedicated to the Japanese Cultural Center of Hawaii, which he identifies even by the address of the center on South Beretania Street. So it is very specific to the place where he is carrying out this Shinto blessing. And he is also giving a blessing to a specific event that is going to take place, namely the JCCH Ohana New Year's Festival. And so he is calling upon the kami to bless the center and to bless the event, which is going to mark the new year, which again is a very important time in the natural cycle of nature, beginning once again that annual cycle that we count as a year. And so again, he is mindful of the way in which nature works. It renews itself, and New Year's, as the word new implies, is a time for renewal. And so he is reading a blessing, calling upon the kami to bless the Japanese Cultural Center of Hawaii, and also to bless the Ohana Festival specifically. The language is very ancient. It is very classical, and let me just stop a moment here so that you can get a full hearing of what it sounds like.
新しき年のことはじめのみ祭り使え松楽と草草のためつものを備え祭りて恋のみ松楽は常も神の
Representing the Japanese Cultural Center are Nate Yotoku, the executive director, and Donna Kawano, the chair of the board of directors. And so they are part of this ceremony representing the center because, again, the blessing is for the center specifically. And in a short while, Reverend Okada will actually bless these two people who are the leaders of the center. On the altar, you will see more green branches with the paper strips. You will see offerings of vegetables. There's, I think, a head of cabbage and fruits. I think there's some bananas on the altar. There's a little container of sake or rice wine. Rice being a staple food. Natural product that is essential for our lives. And there are more wands of paper strips representing the kami. You can see Reverend Okada holding the wooden tablet, and behind it is the piece of paper where he has written the words of what he has to say, so he doesn't have to rely totally on his memory. He's clapping. Clapping is very important in Shinto. You do not clap in Buddhist services, but in Shinto services, you clap. It is a way of establishing a connection with the kami. Clapping, attracts their attention. It focuses your attention on the kami. It is a way of focusing on the kami and being aware of their presence. The robes that he is wearing has the color of his rank. I believe this is a fairly high-ranking color. And again, with the priesthood, as it is with most ecclesiastical organizations, is hierarchical, going from upper to lower. Same with JCCH. So we've got the upper echelon here, the leaders of the organization, representing the entire organization. So now he had taken the wand of paper strips, kami strips, and he is bowing in front of the altar. Notice that the altar has no image. There's no image. There's no picture of the kami. What does Amaterasu, which is the main kami for Daijingu Shrine, where Reverend Okada is the priest, there's no picture, because the kami are abstract. They are embedded in nature, and so you do not have statues or paintings of the kami. So now Reverend Okada is blessing Nate, and he will move over to bless Donna as well, holding the paper strips close to the person, and symbolizing once again the presence of the kami, who are the source of all blessings, of all good things in nature, and therefore of life. Shinto is very life affirming. There's a saying in Japanese: born Shinto, die Buddhist. And so Buddhists, there's kind of a division of labor. So if someone dies, you go to a Buddhist temple for a funeral. But if a baby is born, you take it to the Shinto shrine for it to be blessed. So not that there aren't blessings in Buddhism, or not that there aren't funerals in Shinto, but for the most part, Shinto's emphasis is upon all of the good things of life. Reverend Okada is now making an offering. Again, that branch with the paper strip tied to it, that symbolizes the kami. And there is always this two-way relationship. It's a relationship. And so people make offerings to the kami, and in return, the kami offer blessings to the people. Again, he's clapping in order to establish the connection, or to call the attention of the kami. When you go to a Shinto shrine, when you are standing in front of the altar area, you always clap. Again, this is a uniquely Shinto exercise, and not one that you find in Buddhism. Reverend Okada is now handing these branches with the paper strips to Nate and to Donna, who will establish their relationship with the kami as they walk forward and make an offering to the kami by placing the branches with the paper strips onto the altar.
Then hold Seikutu at this position, test level high, and face to it, and change your hand, switch your hand. Let's go. 180-degree turn clockwise. As it is, please put it.
As it is with all ritual movements, it is prescribed. And so Reverend Okada has just explained the proper way of making the offering of the branch by turning the stem side forward and placing it on the altar table. Everyone is clapping again, calling the attention of the kami, establishing a connection with the kami, bowing to show their reverence for the kami, their sense of gratitude and appreciation for all of the blessings that the kami confer on us. So once again, we see him using the wooden tablet as a kind of a notepad, although he's putting it away, but he has pulled out notes from inside his robe. And he's now going to give a message in English, so let's listen to what he said.
This is Reverend Okada of the Daijingu Temple of Hawaii. This year again was a year of pandemic, which stared the world. The COVID viruses are still not destroyed, but we were making progress every day to develop vaccines to help defeat this deadly disease. Let's all pray to Kami-sama that 2022 will be a year free of viruses and we can go back to our daily lives. This pandemic has taught us the value of our lives and to reflect on the appreciation of things we take. It granted. In a way, COVID has given us a lesson to live our lives with appreciation. Let's continue to be safe and healthy and work together as we bring in 2022 and future years until we were mask and social distance free. Thank you very much for participating. おめでとうございました. Congratulations.
That concludes the Shinto blessing ceremony, short and to the point. And once again, Shinto is a religion like any other religion, but I hope it is clear from what you have seen and from what you have heard that there's a kind of a universal appeal to it all, because it's really talking about blessings, it's talking about life, it's talking about feeling of gratitude and appreciative of all of the good things that we enjoy for our lives, and to sweep away the impurities. And Reverend Okada's last comments about COVID certainly address the fact of the greatest impurity that we face in our society today, and that is COVID, and expressing his wishes that that too will be swept away in the new year so that we can return to our normal lives.
Thank you, Reverend Okada, for that wonderful blessing. Taiko is an important part of New Year's celebrations. Up next, Somei Taiko will perform for us, and after that, we'll visit the Izumo Taisha mission of Hawaii with Drs. George and Willa Tanabe to learn more about Shinto shrine etiquette and other Japanese New Year's traditions.
My name is Shuji Komagata, and I'm one of the founders of Somei Taiko. Jamie Komagata, my wife, is the other founder, and we are part of a taiko group that's been around since 2005. Originally, we were playing with Hawaii Matsuri Taiko, founded in 1985 by my mother, Faye Komagata. And we're very happy to be here today to perform for you. And we've been together with the JCCH for many years, performing at many of their events. First number we'll be playing today is called Soryu, which means Blue Dragon. This is a song that I wrote about 3 years ago. Hope you like it. On behalf of Somei Taiko and Hawaiian Matsuri Taiko, I'd like to wish all of you a happy 2022. Be safe and have a great year.
At Atlas Insurance, doing the right things matter to us. At work with our Atlas Ohana, on the job with our clients, and in the community through giving of our time and resources. As Hawaii's largest insurance agency, we've built our success on the cornerstones of loyalty, dedication, and being a trusted partner since 1929. Hawaii is not simply a place where we do business, Hawaii is our home. Here's to a 2022 filled with health, success, and happiness. From our Atlas family to yours, Happy New Year.
Many Japanese New Year's traditions are steeped in religion, so I thought I'd come down to the Shinto shrine, learn more about them, and get a guided tour from my friends George and Willa.
I'm Willa Tanabe. I was a professor of Japanese art at the university for 30 years, as well as the dean of an international school there.
I'm George Tanabe. I taught in the Department of Religion at the University of Hawaii, and I am a specialist of the religions in Japan, Shinto and Buddhism, which we'll be talking about today.
Can you explain to us where we are today and what the significance of this place is to New Year's traditions?
We're at the Izumo Taisha, the Izumo Shinto shrine here in Honolulu. And it is a part of a larger organization in Japan. There are lots of Izumo shrines in Japan.
Well, visiting the shrine at New Year's is part of the renewal. New Year's is the renewal. Your Hatsumode, your first trip to the shrine, the first trip of the year, your first visit to the shrine. And that's very important because that's, of course, the home of the gods. The shrine enshrine a kami or a god. And so it sort of puts you in good standing for the rest of the year that you've done that and you've done that first. And then when you go to the shrine, you have the opportunity of purchasing a lot more good luck symbols and things to have. For example, shrines will have omamori or protective amulets that are embroidered little pouches, and you can buy them for all sorts of good things. This one is for sports. If you're into sports, this will make sure that you're good at it. And this one is for good grades. You can also get ema, and ema are these little plaques, and you write your name and what you wish for, what you want to happen. And on the front it's decorated. Usually the design changes every year. And this one is from this shrine, and so it has Daikoku-sama, god of good fortune and good luck and prosperity, on a surfboard with Aloha. And so you can get these and hang them up, usually at the shrine. We'll have a place to hang them, and they'll be there to bring whatever you wish for come true. They're so popular that temples, Buddhist temples, also have begun to make them and use them and sell them.
Is there anything that we should know when coming to a Shinto shrine for New Year's?
Yes, we'll do a kind of a walkthrough, entering the shrine and what you do. But yes, there are certain stylized things that you need to do, bow, clap your hands, wash your hands, and so on. The emphasis is on purity and cleanliness. Again, you want to start out the new year, clean in terms of your physical surroundings, yourself, and most importantly, your thoughts and your feelings. You want it purified. And so when you come to the shrine at the New Year's, you will be purified. There will be priests standing here, and they will be waving a wand over you, and that is to sweep away all the impurities from you. And the priest was telling us earlier that every New Year's Day, beginning at midnight, December 31st, 20,000 people come to this shrine here in Honolulu to receive blessings and purification and to start the new year on a good footing.
We're here at the Shinto shrine. I would love it if you could show me what the different traditions are and what it would be like for those who come to visit Shinto shrines for New Year's.
Okay, we're standing in front of the Izumo Taisha Shinto shrine here in Honolulu. And we are before the Torii gate. Torii literally means bird perch, but it's a stylized gate with two posts and a transom across the top. And it's what you find in front of almost every Shinto shrine. So it marks it as a Shinto shrine. On the torii are the straw ropes and the white pieces of paper, which again mark a sacred space inside as the home of the kami.
And then we can go through the gate and into the purification area. Usually it would be filled with water and would be running out, and you would take a scoop and first with your right hand and then with your left hand wash your hands. However, it's COVID-19, and so they put hand sanitizer there so that we can use that and get purified before we enter the shrine. Now, as we're going up, almost every shrine is built up off the ground. There are a few that are kind of low, but it's much more usual to have steps because you're going up to the kami, and the kami is above you. The original Izumo shrine in 5th century Japan had stairways at least 60 feet high.
Now, normally, there would be a bell hanging up here with a straw rope hanging down. You would grab hold of the straw rope, shake it, the bell at the beam up there would make a sound, and this is to announce your presence to the kami. But they took it down because of the COVID pandemic, and since it's an object that many people will be touching, it would not be sanitary to have it. So they took the bell down, but they're hoping to put it up after it's safe to do so.
So once you've rung the bell to get the god's attention, you come up and put in an offering to the offering box, step forward, and you bow twice deeply. And then you clap your hands
4 times.
4 times. And then you pray for all the good things you want. And then you bow once, step back, and that's it. You're finished.
What was the significance of the clapping?
The 4. Usually you clap 2 times at a Shinto shrine, but Izumo has a tradition of welcoming all of the kami from all of the Shinto shrines throughout Japan. They come and meet at Izumo in October. And so to acknowledge the gathering of all kami at Izumo, you clap 2 more times. So for a total of 4 times. 2 for Izumo, 2 more for all of the other kami who come.
Most times you do not go into the main hall. And the gods are hidden within shrines. What you see are offerings to them. But then you do go in for certain ceremonies, that sort of thing. But every day when you visit the shrine, you just come here.
You just come up, yeah.
You mentioned that there's something that people can look for in order to find the Shinto temple, right?
To find a Shinto shrine, you need, of course, to look for the torii. But the other thing is to look at the roof of the building. And Shinto shrines are the only buildings in Japan and in America that have 2 things. One is the X-like form at the front and the back of the roof, the middle ridge. And the other thing, those are called chigi, by the way, but the other thing are the round logs on top of the roof. This one has 3. They're tapered at the end and get fatter in the middle. They're called katsuogi, and katsuo is tuna fish, dried tuna fish that you can shave and make into soup, and that's what it looks like to the Japanese, so they call it katsuogi trees, tuna trees, but those are only found on Shinto shrines. They're never found on a Buddhist temple or any other kind of building. So if you see the cross piece, X sort of mark, front and back, and the log, sometimes you'll have as many as 9 logs across a building. That's a Shinto shrine.
We should also point out that, especially here in Hawaii, some of the shrines were not as elaborate as this one. For instance, at the Daijingu shrine here in Honolulu, it's a converted home, a converted house, so it doesn't have any particular architectural characteristic about it. So the Izumo shrine really is special because we have the traditional architectural design, and it's for, even by Japan standards, this is a pretty big shrine and it's pretty impressive.
Well, we're really fortunate to have it here
Yes.
in
Very
much so.
Hawaii, and I'm really fortunate that you both took the time to take me through here and give me a guided tour, and I can't thank you enough.
From the Tanabe Ohana.
Happy New Year!
Visiting Izumo Taisha and chatting with the Tanabes was so insightful. From living in Hawaii, I can recognize these Japanese and Shinto traditions, but I didn't realize their origins, meaning, and symbolism until now. So thank you so much, Drs. Tanabe. That was super amazing. Now, cultural education is critical for our next generation to ensure continued education for generations to come. When the JCCH began developing this Ohana Festival virtual show, we invited high school film students to get involved with the center, hone their digital production skills, and immerse in Hawaii's rich Japanese culture. Students from McKinley and Roosevelt high schools filmed interviews, performances, and demonstrations for this Ohana Festival virtual show. The JCCH is so excited to support their continued education as young digital content creators. Next, we'll learn about Kendo from Kenshikan Kendo Club and have Hanayagi Dancing Academy Hawaii Foundation perform traditional Japanese folk dances.
Kendo is a unique martial art in the sense that all other Japanese martial arts, karate, aikido, judo, they're self-defense. In Kendo, we're taught initially to attack.
It doesn't matter if you're a kid or to an adult. It doesn't matter what size you are. When you're black belt, which is shodan, you're a black belt whether you're a child or an adult.
The origins of Kendo were found in feudal Japan, where the ancient samurai or Japanese warriors learned and developed traditional sword fighting techniques. So the name Kendo literally means in Japanese, the way of the sword. Instead of fighting with swords and practicing with real steel, the Japanese technology involved wooden swords called boken, and later on developed shinai, which is bamboo swords that we use for full contact practice. So when you watch Japanese samurai movies or sword fighting Japanese shows, the moves that you see there evolved into what is modern day Kendo.
Welcome to Kenshikan Kendo Club. This is going to be a brief demonstration on how we actually run our practices. Like we begin and end our practices, we always start off with respect, which is bowing. So Matsumoto Sensei, who's the most senior ranking person in the dojo, is on this side. And likewise, the most senior ranking student, his son Brandon, is on this side of me. They're going to begin today's practice by sitting down and meditating and then bowing to show respect. So the student commands that they all sit properly. Now what they're doing is they're clearing their minds. They're getting ready to begin a vigorous practice by letting go of all the stressors from the day and clearing it and thinking about nothing. So they're going to show respect by bowing to the dojo. And then they're going to bow to each other. So now that they've completed the initial formalities of showing respect to the dojo and to each other, Matsumoto Sensei is going to lead two of our students in performing kata, or a form of set movements, using a hard wooden sword so that it minimizes injury. And this is something that the students can do to learn proper technique. So again, what the students are going to show is respect to the dojo, or the place of practice, and then to each other. And here what they're going to demonstrate is actual kendo techniques using a solid wooden sword, which is to simulate and shape like the katana, or the actual samurai sword. But to limit the extent of injury or to err on the side of safety, what they're doing is set movements where one student is the teacher and the other is the student. So Hayato Matsuda is the student and Leland Hara is the teacher. So you can see he's opening up and he's allowing the student to strike him in the proper manner. And this is a basic kata or set movement for younger students. And so now the student is going to hit the gauntlet and then the head. So those would be points in a shiai or kendo match. So like they began the kata, like we began practice, what they're going to do is end their match by going down. And then they're putting away their swords, and they're going to step back and bow to each other to show respect. And then they're going to bow to their sensei and the dojo. Okay, so now that you have seen what set movements or kata looks like, now we're going to demonstrate what full contact sparring looks like. Using the same moves that Hayato was demonstrating with the Bokdo, now you're going to see what it looks like when the kids use the full armor and these bamboo shinai, which allow for full force of movement and hitting, but because of the pads, they don't feel, it's not sore, and it's a safe way to really, get the moves down correctly. So again, important, always showing respect. Oh yeah, right. Okay, and before we actually start the sparring, we're gonna demonstrate how to hit the appropriate points to actually score in a kendo match.
So, Mikey, you'll be motodachi, Aiden, you hit men.
Okay, so the first hit is going to be menuchi, or hitting the top of the head, using the correct form, the correct kiai, or yell, and stomping his right foot at the same time. So that's ki ken tai no ichi. That's the way to get a point in kendo. Okay, so that would be 1 point in kendo. The next move would be hitting the kote, or the glove or gauntlet. This would be disarming your opponent. So you see he's using the kiai, his voice, he's using the right target area, and he's stomping his foot all at the same time. So that would be a point. And the third point in kendo would be hitting the do, or the stomach area, where you're cutting through a person's body. See, and Mikey doesn't feel a thing, and Kaiden's a lot larger than Mikey, but because of the intricacies of kendo, size doesn't matter, age doesn't matter, and the armor protects you.
We just switch side. We'll do it one more time. Mikey, you hit men. Kote and do.
So Mikey's going to demonstrate hitting men on Kaiden, who's assuming the teaching role in this.
That's right. Come back.
Okay, so Mikey used the correct moves and he would have scored a point. The second one is kote, or the glove area. Okay, come back. And then the last one again would be do, and that would be cutting through his opponent. Okay, so now that you've seen both of them demonstrate what appropriate points would be in kendo, Matsumoto Sensei is going to serve as the judge, or the shimpan, and they're going to engage in a friendly full contact match. so to score a point, they actually need to hit with all three things: the right target, the right spirit, and the right footwork. So although they're hitting each other, Matsumoto Sensei has not seen all three things yet. So that's what Matsumoto Sensei is looking for, not just the target, all three things at the same time. So just like in a boxing match where they get on the ropes for a little bit, Matsumoto Sensei repositioned the Tukenchi. So Kaden got the point because he hit the right target, he used the right spirit, and he had the right footwork. So that would be the match. Okay, so these are our intermediate students. We're going to have advanced students now demonstrate a higher level and a more impactful Kendo. And before we actually start this match, we're going to show you a move that's generally relegated to more advanced students. And it would be particularly useful in this case since Masuda-san uses a technique called Jodan.
Center's over here. Center's over here. I just come up.
So the move that they're going to demonstrate is called Tsuki, or a throat thrust. We didn't demonstrate this with the younger students because it can be a little dangerous. So in this move, Brandon Matsumoto is going to thrust his shinai, the tip of his shinai, into Masuda's throat area. This would be a point in Kendo, and if this is like samurai movie real thing, it would be taking a sword and putting it into somebody's throat. So that would be, he's using the right thrust, the right footwork, and the right spirit. So that would be a point. Okay, now that you've seen, they're going to do a match. So again, although it looks like they're hitting, Matsumoto did not see all three things in one, so he did not award a point yet. And again, size doesn't matter. Age doesn't matter. Kendo's one of the wonderful martial arts where, everything is almost equal if you train hard enough. So although they appeared to hit at the same time, Brandon Matsumoto came in first and hit Masuda's kote area. So he therefore won the match. And like the students before them and how they started, they're going to end this competition with a bow to each other to show respect. So this is the end of a Kendo practice. Again, we're having the senior student call the students to sit down and take off their equipment. And just like they did when they started, they cleared their minds. They learned a lot, they absorbed a lot. There's a lot of energy right now. What they're doing is they're clearing their minds again to end practice. Bowing to show respect to each other for the hard practice. And then again, bowing to the dojo to show respect for the place of practice. Kendo begins and ends with respect.
Kendo's taught me a lot of life lessons, the main one being how to lose graciously. And by that I mean, you're not going to win every match. In fact, unlike Matsumoto sensei and some of the other sensei, I'd probably lose more than I win. But in losing, you learn to fight as hard as you can and show respect to your opponent, show respect to your sensei that taught you, show respect to the students that practiced with you. You learn patience, you learn how to deal with adversity, you learn how to push through things. It teaches you self-respect, and overall, you might not be the best Kendo practitioner in the world, but you will be a better person if you stick to this and you stay with it for a long time.
We always start off the new year. The first practice will be wiping the dojo floors, wiping the walls. We'll be cleaning in the dojo out of respect to start off the whole new year clean. And that's one of the things that we have everyone join in and be a part of. So everyone takes ownership in taking care of the dojo.
Even the highest ranking person in our dojo, the leader, like Matsumoto sensei, on the last day of practice, he will be there wiping things down himself. Here, we're all equal, and that's something that I hope all of the students, the younger children, take home with them at the end of the day.
Happy New Year!
June makes the best malasadas in Hawaii, a fact not lost on Daryl, whose brother Byron is cooking the onaga he caught at his secret fishing spot with his girlfriend Malia, who used to work for the Shave Ice Guy, whose second cousin Vince drives the school bus ridden by Calais, whose auntie makes the best malasadas in Hawaii. Everything here is connected, and with the new First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, you can stay just as connected to your finances, and it all starts with yes.
CHIKU is the first classical dance students are taught at the Hanayagi school. The choreography represents the foundation of basic movements with many tempo and rhythm changes. The performers wear and hold props adorned in chrysanthemum flowers. It is documented that a kabuki dance from 1775 called Sodemoyo Shiki no Irouta eventually became to be known as Kikuzukushi. Performing Kikuzukushi today was Mila and Kilen Higashi. Our academy was founded by Hanayagi Mitsuaki in 1947. It was established under the guiding principle of preserving and perpetuating the classical performing arts of Nihonbuyo, classical Japanese dance, and Nagauta music in Hawaii. The Hanayagi Ryu School of Classical Japanese Dance is said to be the largest of the 5 main schools in Japan. The Hanayagi School was founded in 1848 by Hanayagi Yoshijiro. For generations, the headmaster of the Hanayagi School has been choreographing kabuki performances and modern numbers as well as training younger performers to become professionals. The current headmaster is the 5th generation, Hanayagi Jusuke. I began lessons at the age of 4 from our founder, Hanayagi Mitsuaki the first. And after many years of training, I was given the opportunity to practice in Tokyo, Japan. And after practicing for some time, going back and forth during my summer vacation or winter vacation, I was granted the professional name of Hanayagi Mitsujuro. And thereafter, for a couple years after that of rigorous training, I obtained my Shihan status, or a master teacher status. Japanese performing arts is a lifelong learning experience and can be very strict at times. However, I feel this is one way of growing as a performer. I relate to my students to always strive to take it to the next level. There is always a way to better perfect your art. Many of the dances we teach at the Hanayagi Dancing Academy Hawaii Foundation have choreography from about 200 years ago, and the motions remain the same as it was then. Shichifukujin, or the 7 deities, is said to be one of the oldest and longest compositions in the Nagauta repertoire. The cart filled with treasures, the takarabune boat of the 7 deities, the net filled with bounties from the ocean, the floats of the Gion Matsuri that parade the streets, the sacred horses that dance to ancient music. The mention of auspicious traditions and items in the lyrics were thought to uplift the spirits and bring happiness and prosperity. What I personally enjoy most about teaching is relaying the rich culture of Nihonbuyo and Nagauta music to individuals of all ages and seeing their progression. By learning these performing arts, we learn the culture and history of Japan, how to use the body in various ways, and Japanese etiquette in general. Cherishing each movement from generation to generation till this day still amazes me. Our goal is to carry this on to our next generation. 新年明けましておめでとうございます。Happy New Year from the Hanayagi Dancing Academy Hawaii Foundation.
Craig Shimizu. I'm the instructor at Shimizu Voice. Actually now I'm singing sensei. Just changed my name. Well, I knew from a young age that I wanted to be a teacher. I just didn't know what kind of teacher. But when I took singing lessons from my instructor, Mr. Richard Aoyagi, he has such a love of teaching that he carried on to us. And so I knew then I wanted to be a singing teacher. Japanese style singing is different because the culture is different. Every culture, the way they made their songs, that is their culture comes from different kinds of things that happened historically. And so Japan was a defeated nation, and they really wanted to cry out their sorrows and anguish. So that's what made the Japanese income. And each culture would have their own historic. As a teacher, if I can convey what I know to anyone, I feel it's accomplishment. And then usually that's accompanied by the student having felt accomplishment, and there's usually joy in that. And so, yeah, that's a great feeling. As a singer, when you can learn to control the audience, then you have, and of course you control them in a way that they enjoy themselves, then there's a great sense of accomplishment that you didn't waste their time, your 3 or 4 minutes, that they enjoyed your performance. And the singer, how they perform, they're in control, but it takes a lot of training to do that.
Kamome ga Tonda. 人はどうして悲しくなると海を見つめに来るのでしょうか。港の坂道駆け下りるとき涙も消えると思うのでしょうか。あなたは今でも好きですなんて行ったり来たりの繰り返し、季節外れの港町、ああ私の影だけ。カモメが飛んだ、カモメが飛んだ、あなたは一人で生きられるよね。あなたは本気で愛したものは絵になる港の景色だけ。潮の香りが苦しいの、ああ私の影だけ。カモメが飛んだ、カモメが飛んだ、あなたは一人で生きられるよね。
Well, that wraps up day one of our 2022 New Year's Ohana Festival. We have more in store for tomorrow, like visiting Tanioka's seafood and catering, and more exciting performances and demonstrations. Your support is what makes the Ohana Festival possible, so please go ahead and subscribe by hitting the button down below, and head over to jcch.com/NYOF2022 to see tomorrow's full lineup and shop the Year of the Tiger t-shirt. Thank you again to all of the amazing sponsors of the New Year's Ohana Festival for your incredible support. And be sure to tune in tomorrow, Saturday, January 8th at 1 o'clock for another day of New Year's celebrations. See you then.